Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to Township of Nipissing Council Meeting, Tuesday, August 13th. And I'll start with disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll go around the table and see what we have for committee reports. And we'll start with Councillor Yam.
Well, I don't have anything because like I said, I missed the last meeting, but I have a good copy of the report, so. And I'm sure Steve's gonna go ahead.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Fire over when we get there, for sure. Okay, so, and again, Shelley, Councillor Foote, sends her regrets. And so, Councillor Scott.
Okay, we had the recreation meeting last night. A few notes, we were short a whole bunch of people for the bottle drive. And thank those that stepped up and those that they found some extra bodies. And we raised $892 for last month. We had the movie in the park canceled due to weather. And the rescheduled date should be August 31st, right before they go to school. And the fall community celebration is, we're still looking for vendors for the trunk sale and for the museum. And it's looking good. We've got a few, and we need some more people to sign up. We had a brief discussion on the roast beef dinner coming up the 23rd of November. And there'll be more information as we get a little closer to the date. Then we had a little update from the Command Community Center. They have the 90th anniversary event coming up September the 18th, 10 a.m. to 2. They will be having a fall dance on September the 21st and the Jesse Thomas Band from 7 to midnight. And that's more or less the close notes of what we talked about last night.
Okay, good. Any questions? And I want to thank Will for all his help with the bottle drive. It's called the bottle drive now. And it was a busy day, let's put it that way, very busy, but got her done. And I will go on to Councillor Kirky.
Okay, two quick ones here. The museum board, August the 7th. We reviewed our financial and visitor statistics. And so July, we made 1,052, am I correct? Or two? Yes, total revenue of 1,500 today.
Yes.
Okay, so I got that right. And we had numerous visitors, and we had two groups. One was, well, that was the prior month. That was the school and I forget the name of the club.
It's the Provost Cup that
Provost
came.
Club. It's a seniors club that we're on this. Anyway, so we discussed the Heritage Day auction and the allocation of the Trillium grant, which unfortunately, well, Kim spoke to that at the meeting and explained probably why we didn't get it. Am I correct with that? So there was $500,000 in the Trillium grant. There was $9 million asked for. So that quite a few communities were involved in that. So we didn't get it anyway. So the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, there's still a possibility for that one.
There's a grant opportunity with them, yes, Councillor Kirky. So we'll look at it, applying for a grant through them for the foundation.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with that. And on the library board, we had a meeting. We tried to get all the councillors together to have a meeting with the budget committee. Unfortunately, Wasson couldn't make it. But a few little anomalies that we have to clear up in the bookkeeping, but it's coming to us and they're getting better at it because we have some people on that committee that are sorting everything out. But we're moving forward with that. So that's all I have for that now. There will be more to come because we have a couple more meetings. The whole plan is to have the budget prepared before the end of the year so that when we're doing our budget, the numbers will be there.
Yes,
Are they going to approve the 2024 budget?
The library board, the board has approved it.
I've only received a draft of the report.
Okay, so I'll bring that forward, that it was only a draft that you received. Now, probably because the reason they didn't say anything beyond that is because one municipality hasn't approved it yet.
But we haven't either because we don't have the fund.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll
Our budgeted amount though, that we used in our budget was the higher number.
Yeah.
So we'll just go from there.
I'll discuss that with Marie.
Thank you.
okay. And there's no East Home meeting. In fact, it's next Wednesday and I will be missing it. And the neat thing about, and I do read your minutes from the museum board, both nights, you got it done at 6:59, 2 months in a row, like that's pretty good work, you know? But other than that, Pines meeting today, and I just mentioned that, but we went over present projects. They replaced ceiling tiles, painted a decorative mural by the elevator. It really looks good. It's all pine trees and fits, you know. Did spot painting, installed 2 automatic doors. Did a Pines 2 update was mentioned, but due to the co-chair's absence, which was the same absence you had on the library board, no further discussion except they did meet with MP Rhoda. They passed the rent increases for this year, and according to the ministry, it's 2.5% rent increases. Began discussions of wish list for negotiations with DSAB in September. And of our total budget, DSAB, we will ask for a number that they will help us with, and then they will give it a lower number, and then we'll discuss it. So, and then we had, as mentioned, a discussion of parking policy, but it was deferred until the legality of motorhomes and propane storage could be ascertained from the Powassan fire. New tenants are moving in and apartments being renovated. Mitchell Jensen Architects made a presentation on the proposed entrance and patio replacement. DSAB has already agreed to pay for the drawings, but no RFP will be awarded until a clear picture of cost is determined. In a month, the costs have more than doubled. And so we want to look into that. So the next meeting is with DSAB on September 17th. And then the next meeting is with the architects on October 15th. So going to be a couple really interesting meetings coming up. And the meeting was adjourned after an hour or so. So I think that's all those we have. So we can move on to adopt the minutes of the meeting held July 16th. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Yam, ooh, nice black pen. Councillor Yam, and Councillor, will go with Councillor Scott. It's number R 2024-160, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Scott. The minutes of the regular council meeting held July 16th, 2024 be adopted and published. All in favor? Carried. And next, the investment of municipal funds. And we've all saw that a month ago now. I don't know if there's any questions. The notable change that I noticed is that in the investment policy is that council will review it annually. And in the original, the one we looked at before, it was just staff. So council has a chance to review it annually if there's any comments or questions. So are there any questions? Because if not, we'll move to accept it. So mover or seconder, I'm looking that way. Thank you. Councillor Kirky and Councillor Scott. So it's resolution number R 2024-161, moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we pass bylaw number 2024-37, being a bylaw to adopt a policy to establish procedures and practices for the investment of municipal funds. Read a first, second, and third time and pass this 13th day of August 2024. All in favor? Carried. The next one, office closure for training day. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the first aid,
First aid,
CPR.
CPR, and any other health and safety trainings that we require.
Any pertinent health and safety updates, that's what I wrote. Okay, is that good with everybody? We've always done that before, okay? So mover to seconder, Councillor Yem and Councillor Kirky. So it's number R 2024-162, moved by Councillor Yem, seconded by Councillor Kirky, that we authorize the township office to close on Thursday, September 12th, 2024, to allow for staff professional development and training. All in favor? There. Okay, 2024 budget update. That's you, is it?
Yes. We're trying to hit 6 months, but
Close
we
to,
got a little bit.
close to midterm. So Chris, I'll pass this over to you.
Okay, so everyone has their copy. Because we're just over halfway through the year, there's no major concerns with any of it. The first one is the levies and grants. Our funding, we haven't received it all. We've been keeping up with our assessment changes, which are our supplementaries and our omissions. So the one, when we have a building go up, even though the assessments aren't being updated, we add those new builds in so that we do get our taxation and what's left behind. So we are up over 19,000 with that. Payments in lieu, we're almost finished. And grants pending, you'll see a big difference there because we didn't get the Trillium Fund and we're still waiting on different funds to come. Impact hasn't billed us for their last quarter, neither has policing services, social services. So we're still working our way through. None of them seem to be of any concern. Any questions on those? Council and administration. The interest on our investments, our GIC comes due in October. That's for the 2.5 million, so that will bring that up to where it needs to be. The interest on taxes, we may not make it to our budgeted amount, but we had 2 properties that had been registered for tax sale have paid in full. So
That's
that's
a positive.
a very positive.
Yep.
So we have no properties at this time registered for tax sale, and we're on top of all of our arrears. I believe our tax arrears are at 60,000 was our total,
Yeah.
which is fairly good.
60,000, wow, that's.
Service fees are doing well. Salaries are right where they should be at this time. The asset management program, so pension, we approved them to come in and do a building condition report for us for a number of different things, including asset management, but also for our asset retirement obligations for year-end financial statements. They haven't started yet, but they did give us a date. So they will be here beginning of September, I believe it is.
2 days.
So they plan on being here for 2 days and that will finish that. Everything else seems to be going, strategic plan implementation expenses, we usually figure those out at the end of the year for photocopying and postage for the newsletters that we send out, so that will equal out in the end. Any questions there? Administration? Here, everything seems to be what we expected. Audit fees, legal fees, integrity commissioner. We did have a couple of integrity commissioner bills. There was one inquiry, but we were notified today by their office that there is no official inquiry being started. So I will have a report from him. He's just backed up right now with other cases.
That was the one that came up at our public meeting,
We weren't aware of what it was before, but they had mentioned.
when they made it public.
But a statement was made that there was an ongoing increase, so I did follow up with our integrity commissioner to see if there was anything we needed to provide. And I received in writing from the assistant today that there is no inquiry being.
I'm still here.
And so. Questions on that? Legal fees? Legal fees were right in the middle.
Now, are we anticipating any additional legal fees throughout the year?
We have another issue that we'll be discussing in closed session tonight that has come to our attention. That will require some fees, yes. It's a new matter. Next is the fire department. It never ends. The fire department is doing well. You'll see the revenues are actually at 7,600. I believe that was from the sale of surplus gear. Was that? Do you know what it's from?
And Teal bill
And you,
and Hydro.
right.
That's right, we built on that one.
So that's doing really well. The equipment rental costs are calculated at the end of the year. So that's when we rent our equipment from ourselves and we deduct any expenses, and that's what we put into reserve. Questions? Safety and enforcement? The EMC, we're on target. Let's see, bylaw enforcement revenues are up. So we have the trailer licensing going in there. And we had parking fines, I believe, from the winter. Animal control is down. Expenses from animal control come in at the end of the year, so we don't have those yet. Building seems to be down a bit for the revenue, but we still have a long ways to go with. Cameron's been exceptionally busy, so I think we'll be all right. Cemetery operations are stable. Landfill operations, the revenue is on target. Actually, our stewardship amount went up this year, so I believe we're gonna be getting 8,000 per quarter, which is more than the 6,000 we were receiving before. And the study, we still haven't been billed for, but that 100,000 is in the budget. Or if that comes through, it may have to be moved to next year again as we work through the process. Okay. Public Works, this is the fine print. I couldn't get it on to go any bigger. So revenues, that's where we had, and we did just sell the 2015 truck, but that wasn't captured in this picture. So that will be coming through, I believe. Is that 5,000 we sold
Yes.
it for? So that'll be another 5,000 in our revenue. And we did just receive the loan for the truck that we had applied for a few months ago. Payments for the trucks are going through. So the quarry gravel stockpile and loose top payments, I believe it was, or the Alsace boundary, nope. lots of gravel. And rooftop maintenance, they all equal out. So they look a little bit off for each total, but they work out in the end. Roadside cutting was picked up. And we haven't had any of the culvert work done yet, so that's not in there. Any questions?
They wait till it's drier, till the water.
I don't know what's going on. We had problems because we couldn't get another person to bid on another project. So I think what he did was he went back to speak to the ones that were going to do the other job. And we're trying to work something out there. Next is the museum. Revenues are at 1,500, expenses are at 38, so the budget is really good. We haven't had our two big events yet. That will bring up our revenues. Recreation. Community center, we've had a couple of rentals just this week, so rentals are picking up, which is good. Fitness center, we usually pick up in the fall, and recreation programs as well. There's any? No questions? Capital projects. So the administration project is the town suite software. We are slowly getting there. Kim has been doing all of the fine detail checking and making sure all of our reports are rolling over properly, so we're almost there. Fire department was the SCBA's. The landfill, we didn't put that in there. Roads, so the roads capital project for that's the truck that we did purchase, and then the other was for the roof repair, but they found a way to get around the roof repair for this year, so we'll look at it again next year. Recreation didn't have any capital this year in the museum. We had the foundation in there, but they needed the roof repair, which wasn't budgeted, but it still goes into capital. That will be the extent of the capital. And that is where we stand with the budget. Oh, we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, and anybody that happened to be around when they repaired the roof on the museum, they were fantastic.
They
Do a good job. I went to town, they were stripping it, I came back, and they were gone.
Yeah.
And that was only 3 hours or 4 hours, so they did a great job, and it looks good.
It does look good.
Okay, now the next one is just strategic plan 2023, the update. Do you want?
I can if you like.
Sure.
Okay, so what we did was we just took all the objectives that we had placed in the strategic plan to give an update on where everything stands. So the roads need study is complete. The asset management plan update, levels of service, we're still working on that. We're maybe a third of the way through getting the document ready, but we need the other study for the building to finish it off. So once we have all those figures, we'll have that to council before the end of this year. The capital budgeting, we use the 10-year capital forecast now. Levels of service delivery review. So we're using some of the information collected from the community survey results to help populate our levels of service and what we're going to be using. And a couple of the staff reports that came after this for the updates on what we're doing for complaint tracking and things like that. That will also go into those levels of service. The operational review. So when we were working with the engineer from KPMG on the FREE program for the asset management, we talked about an operational review. He said if we could do it in-house, we understand better what our processes are, so it makes it better. So we've been working through that in-house. I think we can get to a resolution for it.
The point I want to make here is when we RFP outside and we start paying consultants to do these, like that one alone could be about anywhere from 30 to 35,000 bucks. So I applaud, I appreciate what the staff is attempting to do. I know it puts more on your plate.
Well,
but for
we just want to make sure
$35,000.
When I asked around to other municipalities that had had one done, when they brought in the consultants, the one message that kept coming through is that the consultants didn't understand the day-to-day operations of what they were doing. So if we understand it, if we can put it into words and put it on paper, as long as we're being transparent about it and we're looking at it objectively, I think we have a better chance of looking at our operational deficiencies. So the HR study was completed. Lease diversion. So our expansion for Bear Creek is still in process. We have not started the Wolf Lake expansion. And the transfer of recycling services to the province will be official October 2025. We're up to date on all of our documents for that. Communication strategy was completed on April 2nd, 2024. The website information updates and improvements are ongoing. And again, there's a great staff report that follows from Kim and John Paul for what they've been doing with that. So I have here next steps, update the asset management plan with the level of service for non-core assets. That's our next one. And continue with the service delivery review work we've been doing. And yeah, that's it. Strategic plan for the museum is still a work in process. I think we have a clear idea of what we want to do with it now. Cataloging for the software, it's been purchased, and I know that our museum manager has been working diligently on that. And consistent leadership for management of the museum is also in process, so that's working well, I think, this year. Initial plan updates will begin in 2027. And we did form working relationship with the Indigenous groups in the area and with the Ontario Heritage Trust through the previous issue. Zoning bylaw updates will begin after we approve our official plan in 2027. So those are still out quite a few years, but we are making notes of all the changes that we need to do at that time. Next.
So this is new, the strategic plan for the museum. Now, you have to have a strategic plan for recreation.
So the vision that we've been working towards is to have a strategic planning document for all three of the committees. So for museum, recreation, and cemetery. This will help us with our capital forecasting, with our programming forecasting, and it will help if there's a change in staff, for example, then we still know that we're on the right track. And it allows the public to see the path that we're taking for each of these things. And for all of our facilities as well. It helps with our asset management planning. It all comes back together. So property standards, council gave direction to investigate a noise bylaw. We're still working on that. It is in progress. In our bylaw, council did not want to discuss that at this time, so we tabled that. Housing opportunities, that's all within the official plan and zoning bylaw. It's ongoing all the time with all of our planning decisions. Supporting local business, so we have improved the local business directory on the website. We're working on having a place for photos.
That's part of the staff report. Fred, John, Paul, and I that we have a direction to make further improvements with the website improvements.
And providing education materials, we are doing that by word of mouth. We just haven't done it in writing at this point. Continue to defer development charges, that's ongoing. The community safety and well-being plan. All right, work with the police to regulate the speeds using our speed signs. We are still reporting any of the reports that we get back from our radar speed signs. We pass those on to the OPD so it can help them to make their plan. We don't get feedback on what happens from that. We did ask for a speed reduction through the village on 654 and the MTO denied that request. But they did say that they would be looking at 522 and bring it, so that's going on. The community safety and well-being plan, the annual review has been completed and will be coming to council next meeting. The community risk assessment was completed by the fire chief, brought to council and approved on July 16th. For recreation, strategic planning document for recreation. using information, I believe, from the community input survey to populate your programming. Improvements to the outdoor rink are still in the planning stages. We do want to look at funding for a much larger project, if that's the way we're gonna go, so we'll take it as a large project rather than a piece by piece. Investments to water access areas, so Chapman's Landing Dock did have the floating platform installed in the new stairs. And the Quaddy Lake boat launch area, the ramp was removed, the unsafe cement and structure of the ramp was removed and remediated for use. For 2024, we're hoping to replace it in 2025. Again, we're still looking at all of our options. Maintenance and improvement at the beaches, the washroom facilities were changed out. I think that they're operating well, nice and clean, and being pumped out. Promote and support and invest in volunteerism. So we're still working, I know that the Nipissing Museum is working closely with the Command Museum to working on posters for the events and trying the timing of the events. Have not created a volunteer network, we're still working on it. And that is where we stand with the strategic plan. I think a lot of major projects have either been completed or have a good start on. That will help us to populate the next strategic plan.
And again, these strategic plans, I know when I started, a lot of things we did, it's kind of on a wing and a prayer. And we did things now that I look back, hiring people, doing things that now when you look at it, we had no ladder training, we had no safety, we had, we just did it, which seemed to be the right thing to do at the time, but now when you look back, the liability and insurance, and we talked about that WSIB claim before. We were just really lucky. We were lucky, and that's why now you have these plans. And basically, it's a plan that's also set rules. So every department operates the same way, and nobody does what we used to do. So that's positive for moving forward. So next, we have 2 staff reports on updates and procedure efficiencies. And first one was website and social media updates, which has already been spoken about. And I don't know, Kim or John Paul, do you want to talk about this, like the picture part and that kind of thing?
I'll let Kim do most of the talk. She did most of the talk when it came to this.
So, one of the enhancements that we made when we updated our website provider through WordPress is the Celebrating Public Works Week post. You'll notice there's 3 pictures posted on there. With our old website platform, it was really tricky to add in columns or photos and pictures in that. So we can now add in pictures and size them differently in that. So it was a great way to enhance the information that we post on our website. So that was a great way to do it. And then as well, add in different columns underneath so that you can change it up. So it's not the same thing showing on there, as well as different links. So that was one thing for the website. And then we're looking at with the website as well as enhancing all of the information on the pages. So one of the pages that we updated was the planning page. So providing all the links, there's external links on there. So to the planning document, the zoning bylaws there, but it also takes you right to the Planning Act. So for anybody wanting to learn more about it or to read the official document, it will take you right there as well. But if anybody going to the website, we're trying to enhance it. We did hear that through the community survey to have more information. So we're taking that information and applying it to the information that's on there as well.
Just to add to a lot of this work was done at very minimal cost.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. It's great. And I've talked to people and just helping them to know what they need to do, whether it's a minor variance or anything like that. anything's a help, because for some of it, it seems like it's tough to understand.
Must be working because we're getting a lot of free consultation meetings.
Well, a pre-consultation meeting is better than having the job site shut down because they didn't have all the information.
Absolutely. Mr. Mayor, if I can just speak to one more thing. The other part is the social media posts. We're trying to ensure that our posts are recognizable with our brand on it. So it's got the township logo and the township colors on it. So if somebody does scrolling by on their phone on Facebook and that, if they see it, they may stop at it to read a message, whether it's, you know, with our road closure or a special event, to draw people's attention to it. So that's the other thing that we've tried to do, is to create the brand so that when they see it, they recognize it as the Township of Nipissing.
Good, thank you. Well done. And the other service delivery enhancements. Again, if you want to speak to that.
And, you know, go ahead. Yeah.
So there was a number of programs we put into place, and again, as John Paul mentioned, this was with a little cost or impact to the budget. There were programs that we are already utilizing, so for familiarity for staff using it. CGIS is the main one we're utilizing, and just adding in different modules for staff to be able to use. So with the upcoming retirement of the Baker software, we had to look for a way to register dogs in the township. So we reached out to them, and we can put all of our dog tag information in there. So we started to use it in 2024. Yes, we could have still used Baker, but why not transition it when we had the support with CGIS? And so we've used it this year. Attached to the report is the map. So when we drill down on the map, you can see the colors of, if we wanted to reach out to anybody to see if they needed to still update their dog tags, we can do it historically back. It makes it very colorful if you look at anything back of how long there, but really we only need to look back 1 year to see if anybody hasn't renewed a dog tag, to reach out to them to see if they need to update their dog tag. So that was one of the enhancements we did. The other one that we did that it's been a great one, and Chris mentioned it, is the service requests. So that's been great, and we use it for a number of things. John Paul uses it to put in those pre-consultation meetings, so notes in there. So if anybody calls the office and they say, well, I was talking to John Paul and John Paul isn't in the office, I can pull it up in CGIS. Anybody can pull it up and see the notes he's made on that property, and to give that resident or a visitor that's looking to do anything or purchasing a property, the information he has given to the person calling. But it also is for service requests. So if somebody's reporting a pothole, or there's we had one the other day that I sent to the fire chief about a bylaw concern, I can put it in there so it's tracked, and we can see everything that is. The other map shows the red and the green. So the red is anything that's in progress, the map is anything that's completed. And we can also do reports based on the service type, and there's a whole list that we can do. So there's anything from ditching to a general inquiry to snow plowing. So there's a whole wide range of things. So again, it will lead back into our service delivery and getting information out there. So there's a whole bunch of different things that we've done, online documents. And then a simple one that's not online is that we created in-house was the mailing address change forms, because we were finding a lot of times, especially when it was trying to change over to the new roll book, is we had so many addresses we needed to change. So we've made it easy for residents. If they have a different mailing address, fill out a form, we'll update our system, but we'll also update MPAC so that there's a consistency going around. So those are just a number of things. And if you have any questions about any of the other ones or want to see it when you're in the office, John Paul and I would be happy to share them with you.
And the maps that are in here are just for reference. They're not actual. They're just, they're templates.
Nice thing about the service request form too, is you may tell the homeowner, you know, all the rules about something, and they might not develop for another 9 months. I gotta remember what I told them. Like, and there's a lot of different files. It's not just, you know, one person calling a day, so you get a lot of different information. You remember a lot of this stuff, but it's nice to have a digital record. You can just click it on when the person's talking to you on the phone. Okay, this is what I told them. So it's helpful.
It's consistent.
It's
Something
not notes and sticky.
Well, that's what I
things.
used to do,
Right.
like you just have a file of notes, but you may have talked to them if you happen to do that and put it in the file, but this is kind of handy, you can just click on the map now and see what you might have communicated with them. And the contour mapping, that's coming soon, that's gonna be pretty interesting for planning and for drainage, because it's gonna have all the contour lines on it, so we kind of see some properties if it's gonna be too low lying. It actually helps the people building and the developers, just to see where possible flood line areas are, even when operations goes out, there's areas of the roads that could be more low lying or more prone to flood risk and that, so I think that contour mapping will help if,
And I know,
for a minimal cost too.
I know on islands, a lot of times when they do a survey, there's no contour.
No,
So they have the survey and they say, well, I want to build here. And then you have to go back and say, but
yeah,
what's the contour? What's, is it a flood zone?
yeah,
So that would take that right out of the picture, save a step.
and we have new rules too, like in the last zoning bylaw update, that you have to be 5 meters back from the flood limit for the, what was it called again, the fetch of
Yeah.
Nipissing, so you have to find the 197.25 GDV line, which is the flood line, and then go back 5 meters from it, so at least you get an idea when the person's standing in front of you, roughly the best building envelope for them.
Good.
They'll be handy.
CGIS is also doing our cemetery.
Yeah.
Past cemeteries, and that's all been for what, under $1,000.
Yes,
So a lot of this has been very low cost with staff input and staff directed, which is perfect, because then we know we're getting the right detail.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, well, in that case, I need mover and seconder to.
That was just your call, that was.
Double working. Moving to seconder, Councilor Yam and Councilor Kirky. It's number R 2024-163, moved by Councilor Yam, seconded by Councilor Kirky, that we receive staff reports, A, service delivery review, B, website and social media updates. All in favor? Carried. And correspondence. Delightful.
kept it light for you.
Did indeed. Thank you, card from the North Crime Stopper. So information, we were informed of the special occasion permit for Commanda Museum Summerfest. Minutes of the Nipissing Museum Board. Minutes of the Nipissing Rec Committee. And then, of course, everybody delivered their comments. So definitely covered. Board of Directors for the Commanda Community Center formally rescinding funding requests from the township. And finally, the last, a resolution for municipality calendar urging the provincial government to promptly resume the assessment cycle. And we know that Impact has held off because we all knew that during COVID, it went absolutely nuts. It peaked and now it's coming back down. But I can see what they're saying. There is assessment out there that they're not getting money for and the taxes for. And I know we have said for now, Impact will be at emo and we can speak to them at that time and see if they have any plan for the reassessment. And if not, then we can bring this back and say we want you to resume the assessment cycle. So, but as Chris said, any new thing that we have, we're submitting it to Impact and getting, but it's being processed at 2016.
2016.
2016. But we are capturing all of our new assessment as it comes, so it is registered.
Okay, so that was correspondence, mover and seconder, Councilor Yam and Councilor Scott. And Councilor Scott Scott. So it's number R 2024-164, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Scott. Do we accept the correspondence as presented? All in favor? Carried. Yeah. We can produce this as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thinking that over as well.
Okay, the good news is we'll soon be back to, well, I don't know if it's good news because we've all enjoyed the summer. But we'll be back to twice monthly meetings and this will be down to a page instead of 2.5, it's 3, well, 2.25. So, look it over. I know we've had it for a few days, but if there's anything you have questions about, please. Do I ask you or Kim?
Either one.
Okay. Good.
We have all of the accounts here, either one of us can answer. So these are large because you have the insurance. And you have 3 of the tenders for gravel and for the surface treatment. The reseal on Birch Grove is on there. That was 100,000, so.
And legal fees. Okay, any comments, questions? Well, I'm looking at you guys to shoulder this one again. Thank you ever so much, Councillor Scott, Councillor Kirk.
Well played, Dave. Thank you.
So it's number R 2024-165, moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Councillor Curtin, that the statement of accounts dated July 10th, 16th, 20th, 22nd, 26th, 31st, August 1st, 3rd, 6th, and 8th, 2024, totaling 589,000. Choked me up there, $589,735.95 be approved. All in favor? Carried. There we go. And now I need to move her into seconder to move into closed session. Okay, Councillor M and Councillor Turkey. I read this, it's number 2024-166, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Kirky, that this part of our meeting will be closed to the public as authorized by section 2392B and E of the Municipal Act 2001. C25, consideration of the following subject matter. B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And also council discussion about, or E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Time is 7:18. Okay, 7:19. All in favor? Okay.